Good evening, everyone, ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished guests, and welcome back to Up Next, our weekly podcast where I, Kaylin, sit down with my beautiful, intelligent co-host, Carrie.
Hi.
And we chat about music.
What a polite, formal sort of introduction, welcoming everybody into the room. Have a seat. We're here to talk about new music.
Yeah, you really want everyone to feel welcome, and I've been playing with maybe a more formal manner of speaking. I was at the grocery store.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I was at the grocery store earlier, and I saw an older woman, and I looked like I do, and I said, pardon me, miss, I just need to get to the walnuts. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. Wow. And I was like, no, that's okay. Just excuse me. Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Oh my God. So polite, so lovely. No, I love saying pardon me out in the world.
Pardon me.
Pardon me. Pardon me.
Okay, so let's get on to the music. Let's get on to the real stuff.
I have one more thing that I love to say out in public.
What do you like to say?
No worries.
I love to say, fire, there's a fire, everyone. No, I'm kidding. You
fire,
can't say
everyone
that.
run. Oh my God. No, you can't say that. God forbid anybody's listening to this, you don't really listen to a pod in the car, huh?
What are you talking about?
Like,
what do you mean you don't listen to a pod in the car?
You don't, blare it so people would hear us.
No, yeah, you're not, bumping.
Anyway.
Bumping it. Do you want to get started? Do you want me to get started?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Why don't you get started this week?
I'll get started. I really, really loved the album Respite, Infinite Levity for the Nameless Ghost in Crisis by Colin Self. This is an art pop record, and I don't talk about a ton of pop music. I mean, I like pop music, but generally it's just not something that's at the top of my list of preferences, I guess.
Yeah. And you love a good dance, a club banger.
I like club bangers.
But it's very context specific for you. Mm-hmm. You're not putting this stuff on mainly,
and not
as far
usually.
As pop goes.
Well, this is in that sort of psychedelic pop realm.
I see, which is where you have an exception.
Yes,
you have an in. You have an in.
And this is really breathtaking. Yeah. I was stunned by how gorgeous and complex this album is. Complexity is also something that's often missing in pop music.
Dude, yeah, pop music and indie music especially, yeah. Complexity, detail, yeah.
And this artist, Colin Self, has a few other albums out and has a decade-long career as an artist at this point. And you can really tell that they just have such a fully realized artistic vision here. And it's so well executed.
Hell yeah.
Every piece of this record is so thoughtfully arranged and composed, and everything is placed exactly where it's supposed to be, and it's all very pretty, but there are also moments of vulnerability in it, and there's kind of an ugliness to its prettiness, you know what I mean?
I love that too. Yeah. Another thing that just adds some charm, because I do feel stuff like pop and indie, like we were saying, is known for kind of, maybe has a bit of a reputation, for being highly polished.
Yes.
And stuff.
And this is certainly polished and a finished work, but it's kind of
and the artistic vision in the beginning, middle, and end is there. Yeah.
Yes.
Which is wonderful. But it just has more of that character, a little more grit to it.
Yeah, there's some really cool music videos out for this one,
cool.
too, so you can see more of what this artist does, both as a visual artist and, drag performer, and
nice.
Overall, obviously very talented and inspired and inspiring person. Yeah, sorry, I'm just showering this album with praise. I've barely listened to it. I've listened to the first few tracks, so I need to dive into more of it. But what I've heard so far obviously has been quite impactful.
It's been great, and I definitely have loved it too. You played a little bit for me, and I think it's well deserving of its flowers that you're giving it. Oh, it's love.
flowers.
Lovely.
Yeah, absolutely great stuff. Very impressive vocal work too.
Yes, really good singing.
Operatic, but not ear-splitting,
Well, I have some ear-splitting operatics.
Yes, get into your operatic stuff. If this album is a little too, flowy and pretty and, nice for you.
Yes, this is good. Yeah, if you need, a even darker, if we need to get
a little dark with it.
A little dark with it, a little folk with it, I definitely recommend the album The Distaff by Moth. This is awesome. No, it's beautiful and like we said, dark and gritty and stuff, but it's sort of doom and ethereal wave is what they call it. So a lot of like soundscaping and like highs and lows going on. I would call it cinematic, but sometimes we say cinematic as like, it's not a read, but sometimes it means we don't use it as a positive all the time. But I think here it just like backs up the vocal performance, which is what I mainly need to shout out. It has like a sort of gothic folk singing. I believe, I don't know her name. Well, that's Maud. But that's Maud. She's based out of Edinburgh, and just like such an incredible vocal performance and like storytelling and everything. Kind of folk, so it goes through like those half-tone riffs and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Which make you go, oh, that's like folk singing. And it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I want to get back to the idea of things being like cinematic or epic or whatever. And how we do sometimes...
We can add some nuance to it. Let's unpack it.
Let's unpack. I think we often use that term to say things are like maybe over the top when they don't need to be, or it doesn't feel warranted, or it's kind of coming
overly
out of
dramatic,
nowhere.
melodramatic,
or it feels more like a film score than like an album that you would sit down and listen to.
Yes, cinematic for sure.
But some people do listen to film scores, and I do think that those moments of like high drama certainly have a place, and especially on an album like this, which is very gothic and operatic. I think that it is warranted, because you're trying to build this like aesthetic in this kind of world, and I think it works here.
I see that. Yeah. Here especially, I like this point supporting the album that I really liked and brought to the pod. But also, girl, I'm not sitting down and playing a film score.
Well,
Nothing
you're not.
In my life is that exciting.
You're not.
That I need like dun dun.
Dun, dun. Yeah, I mean, not always.
People listen to it, but just that level of drama, I guess, isn't always what I'm really hankering for, and maybe what our co-producers of Outside Noise may not also.
Co-producers.
I would say we all get producer credit on the works of Outside Noise things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I say it's big and cinematic and epic, it's not to say that it's like too much. It's actually incredible and dramatic and emotional,
and it fills the space.
Yes, very well.
Yeah, that I think that it filling the space in is a big point for this album.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's some stuff that tries to like aim high and misses.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like why did you do this? It's like I can tell you really were going for it, but also it sounds like this was made on like GarageBand or something.
Right. It still sounds so soft. Well, you got the soft drops.
Yeah, but this album is not that. This one really like aims for that and then hits the mark. And it's great. I really like it.
I love it.
All right, are we ready for the next album?
Yeah. Tell me.
All right, I am going to talk about Transaction/Service by This Is Wreckage. So this band is out of the sort of like Welsh like noise punk scene, which is thriving. And if you're into that sort of like clangy, loud, really like dirty, nasty bass lines, this is for you. Very shouty vocals. But what I really liked about this album, and a reason why I'm bringing it to the table here, is because I thought the concept was really fun. It is kind of loosely following this story of a like straight-laced businessman by day who by night dresses up like a fairy at an underground 70s era meatpacking district club. So that's fun. So we have some songs like about cruising and about like it's a fun little, I don't know if it's
sort
like
of alter
pride.
ego,
I don't know.
Happy Pride.
Yeah, and more about like the duality of man.
Yes.
And maybe having like a side of yourself that you can't show the world.
Or it's just different sides of yourself that one. It's for different worlds.
It is. Right. Yeah. Code switching. Sure.
It doesn't mean it's like less of the real world or anything. It's just different.
It's like, but you might have a little like glitter under your eyes at the board meeting, you know.
Or like yeah, I mean, you got to pay your rent, but no one really cares about your artistic fulfillment or your gender euphoria or whatever you call it.
Yeah, this strikes a little bit at like the heart of that tweet I've seen where it's like, I'm probably non-binary, but I have a job right now, so I can't be worrying about that.
Right, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
I have a job right now.
But I have a job right now, so I can't.
Which is a funny joke because it's true, like we were saying about the code switching, and think about all your non-binary friends, unemployed.
I mean, I do know employed non-binary people.
Yes, me too. It's a joke.
But
it's a twofold joke. I'm trying to riff. I'm trying to yes it.
Yeah. I'm here. I mean, my boss doesn't know. Anyway, I've said too much. Anyway,
I really like this album, and I like its concept, and that's really fun. And we talk about the balance and duality, and you said it reminded you of that tweet. It reminded me of the Gwenyth Paltrow quote. I saw that on the internet earlier today as well, where she says, you know, what can I say? I eat organic foods, but I get lasers. She meant like laser hair removal, but she just said lasers, which is really funny. And so she said, you know, that's the thing about life. It's the balance between cigarettes and tofu.
Girl. Cigarettes and tofu, that it would be a great album name.
Isn't it awesome?
It's there for you to take.
Thanks, Gwynny.
Yeah. And her like personal trainer and her like skincare treatments.
I know, just like
and her
being a rich thin woman who's so rich that you can just like buy wellness and then sell it to other people. It's the balance between cigarettes and tofu. Like, I eat organic, but I get laser hair removal. So.
Do you think she smokes cigarettes?
I don't
crazy.
think so.
That would be crazy to me.
I think one time she said, I don't know that this is true. To be fair, when I say I think one time she said it was a comment that someone made on a TikTok of Gwenyth Paltrow, and this was in quotes. So,
Okay.
But she said she'd rather smoke crack than eat like cheese out of a tub or something.
Out of a tub? What do you mean?
Like cheese heavily processed, like Walmart type,
like a nacho cheese product.
Velveeta
okay.
Or whatever.
Okay.
Said she'd rather smoke crack
Me too. No.
than eat cheese out of a tub.
I mean, she probably smokes like American Spirits or something.
In my opinion, that's like better for you.
I mean,
anyway,
you know, if it's like fish scale or something, it's probably not that bad.
Of course.
Anyway, talk about your next album, Carrie.
I would love to talk about my next album. My next pick is Prodigal Son by Liam Grant. This is out on VHF Records, which is based out of Charlottesville, Virginia, I believe. We found a few albums out on this label this week. So if you're into like, I guess it's just weird. It's acoustic but noisy at the same time. This album specifically, Prodigal Son, is all instrumental guitar and banjo, just made by this guy. It says it's a portrait of an artist on the road, changing fast and recording things as they spring from the fountain. So I love that idea of just hitting play and playing whatever.
Yeah.
This one isn't very particular about its production. I would say it's very raw. I would say it's fuzzy, which gives it a really appealing, almost like harsh noise. Not harsh noise. Some people are not gonna like that I say that, but like noise, I guess, over the whole thing, which also like goes really pretty. So it's we've talked before about really enjoying early country music, and this artist self-describes this style as American primitive, and like Appalachian as well. And so it's cool to just hear these like sort of a classic sound done in a new way. I really enjoyed this Liam Grant album.
Yes, I love the story of recording this on the road. I mean, a lot of musicians, you know, get like songwriting ideas while they're out touring, but then to actually go and actually like document your process. And I know when you play shows that you learn so much about yourself as an artist, and your like style of playing can change dramatically. Like one song can sound one way at the start of a tour, and then, you know, a few weeks later you have a totally different way of performing it. So I wonder if something kind of similar happened here.
Well,
you know, you're just like,
you say that, and then it makes me think even the stuff like this, just, I mean, it's not just noodling, it's songs, and some of them are quite long, 13, 12 minutes of just noodling, I guess. But no, it also made me think of like even your warm-up and cool-down. If you're just practicing your instrument on an off day on the road or whatever, what does your warm-up look like? How do you build it out over weeks and weeks? And so just thinking more instrumental, I guess, applications, good finger work and everything on this album. So
yeah,
super cool.
I love the very raw recording style of it too. And even though it's rooted in these very old school folk traditions, it takes this experimental approach by not sticking within these like super constructed like chord structures and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about country music is it's 3 chords in the truth,
right?
Baby, so it doesn't have to be super complicated. But I get what you're saying, though.
And this isn't like complicated.
No, it's not overly complicated.
Yeah.
It's the perfect amount of complicated to be extremely satisfying.
Yes. And another outlet that I quite like, The Quietist, did a not like a full-length review, but they included this.
They had like a roundup, favorites from February or something.
And they had a short write-up about this, and I really enjoyed reading it. They were talking about kind of the place of experimental, instrumental, like guitar music in a world where the experimental music genre is so heavily dominated by like tech.
Well, and electronics are where like developments in music are being made. The guitar's been the same for like hundreds of years.
Right.
So I get it. But
in theory, it's where developments are being made. But why not? You know, you can do this.
You can, totally.
Yeah, so this is cool. And then that kind of ties into the next album that I'll be talking about.
We have a very nice segue.
Into a Greater Nothing by teté leguía. And the album, I already said the name of the album, Into a Greater Nothing.
You got
Sorry,
it.
guys. we're working on it. This is a noise album. It's kind of free jazz inspired too, but it is just a prepared electric bass. I don't really know what the preparation here is, but you can tell that it is.
Boy, they did something.
He did something. I really love the kind of stream of consciousness album description here too, but
the description, the album art, like all of that other side of the album, like the putting out of the album, is also like really beautiful.
Bass is the place, fear him for he has brought us music that bleeds.
Ooh.
I love it. It is loud and noisy and music to scare the hose.
It is music for scaring
for scaring the hose,
but it's good. That bass,
I love.
Delicious.
There are no effects on this. There are no overdubs. I think these are probably all one take.
He's just playing that shit.
And it's just like
talk
brutal.
About noodling.
It's really aggressive.
You think there's a nail in there? You think there's a big piece of rubber in one of the strings?
I hope so. This was recorded at Seizures Palace in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is a great name for a recording studio. And it's pretty good and I liked it.
I love that. I have one more album to talk about, Kaylin.
Go for it.
So we're kind of going on you said there was some noise going on. I also have some noise going on. This is noise of a digital variety.
Okay, we're moving away from the guitar and bass solo stuff.
We're tying that thread of noise.
Okay.
But this is like all on the computer.
Okay.
Versus a more analog approach, I guess. This album is To See Forever by the Holy Similaun. This out on Yde H4 Records in Italy. It's really cool. Yeah, like I said, a digital noise project. Toes into power electronics at times, but that's not how it starts. So you might hit play and be like, what the fuck? Because it's like a beautiful, ethereal, deep ambient.
I like that. I like whenever it builds from, soft to, you have to have your dips.
Yes, it's
valleys.
your ups and downs. And we talked about soundscape earlier. And when you're making this kind of music, it's a really nice touch to just... You have your really good headphones on or really good speakers or whatever. You're fully immersed in it, which is really beautiful. And they do a really good job of that in the beginning of the album. And then, it does sort of bloom and develop into like this crazy deconstructed club, really, is what it ends up being. And it's really cool. It's a fabulous time.
That's the intersection. I feel like the intersection between like a deconstructed club and then like ambient and power electronics and these like heavier, more extreme genres is something that hasn't really been explored because deconstructed club is such like a pop genre. It has had such a moment and has frankly been like a defining sound of pop music for the past like 5 years. But I think it's underrepresented in like the underground. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, I can
see
that.
like dudes don't listen to it.
Yes, okay, that's a great
dudes
way to
don't listen to it might be a better way to put it. like, men aren't listening to this, why? You can do better.
That's why we made Up Next.
That's it.
We're like, we have to steer our predominantly male audience into liking pop music. No, I definitely get that, and I think when you do say stuff like pop and club, it does tend to get maybe discredited.
I want to hear White House at the Club.
Right, it's thought of as like a little more superficial or whatever. When in reality, yeah, there is a lot of overlap, and there's a lot of space for really cool and weird shit to happen.
Untapped.
Yes,
Untapped.
Undertapped.
Not
untapped.
Someone get in there.
Underutilized. Underemployed. Okay. But that was the holy Similaun with To See Forever. I'm sorry I kept hitting your chair.
That's okay. We normally at this point kind of pivot into a segment, but we don't have a segment. But I might have a secret fourth album to pull up and talk about, because you talking about this like ambient weird electronic album reminded me of another ambient weird electronic album that I want to talk about. If that's okay.
That's perfect.
If that's
Let's
okay.
do a bonus. Ooh, a
bonus. So I'm going to talk about Lux Gratis by Ailbhe Oireachtaigh. I tried my best. And this is like an anti-war ambient industrial album. This is kind of inspired by the artist's analog recording of the sound from the BAE Systems shipyard, which is situated across the park from where they live. BAE is Europe's largest weapons manufacturer and the third biggest arms company in the world. They make warships and military destroyers, and for over a year this constant metallic banging noise would echo around the park for hours every day, and it inspired this artist to we talk a lot about how industrial music kind of came out of
that's that authentic industrial music.
Came out of like actual industrial like environments, And so, he's been using this recording of them building not just another warship, but they're actually building the foundations for a new shipbuilding hall, so that they can be more efficient in making more weapons. Yay!
Hall to build more ships in.
So it says it caused me to think differently about the environmental sound and how we choose to acknowledge or not acknowledge the meaning of sounds that we live with.
Oh my god, I love this.
So it's beyond just like, I'm really glad I shoehorned this in here.
I love this topic. Okay.
I love like the meanings of sounds. It's like, it's not just like the industry of it all. It's not just like manufacturing. It's like, this is arms and like weapons manufacturing.
Yes, this is the sound of what is it? Manifest Destiny occurring in real time. And just like more broadly, not even just what this artist is going through, but like these sounds that everyone is surrounded by, whether you live in a city or out in the country and stuff. And I feel like people don't necessarily think about these sounds that are around them or how they affect them and like their stimulation levels and like stress levels and stuff. It's just about finding like an amount of sound in the very moment that works for you.
Yeah, which is interesting because this is all stuff that those early industrial pioneers were like highly, highly interested in, is the like sounds that happen like in cityscapes and their like precise arrangement and precise timing, and then like adjusting the time that things occur and cutting things up and then like putting them back together to create whole new things. I think about it a lot too. It's something that's on my mind as we live on this like extremely busy street for I don't know if
cars
like
driving by
with cars and sirens and like people screaming, and like you can sit in our living room and like hear conversations.
Caution, bus is turning.
Yeah, like all the time. So I don't know. I didn't really have like a final thought there, but I this album was definitely very thought-provoking.
Well, it's a change from our quiet apartment on the dead end street that we used to live on. So I can definitely see how you just noticing the sounds on our busy street now sort of change things.
Then the construction out front and like the giant pothole that cars love to hit.
So I won't be like meditating in the living room today.
Not right now.
So and just sort of changes things in how you're interacting with the world. It's really cool. And what like you said too, that what the sounds mean. Like I was even thinking of like, you can't pave the new road until you jackhammer up the old road, and like the sounds in sequence also meaning something and sort of representing development in that way too.
And this album isn't as concerned with like the sequence of events.
Just thinking about it.
Me too.
This is more of like a, what do you mean, like a collage-y sort of?
This is collage-y. They talk about all of this being sound collage, and this artist also particularly primarily doing live music actually, and so this album being constructed to be listened to as a recording in one sitting, and that being a new experience compared to their typical way of working.
That's interesting too. We're going long on this album, but that's interesting because I feel like it's often the opposite direction, where you are producing it, especially if you just do it at your house or whatever. You feel safe to like really jump right in and like go big and everything, and then you get up on stage and you're like, how do I translate what's on my computer into real life? But it's cool if they have been primarily playing live and they're sitting down to record, because they know how to use real time, like real people's time. I can see that making some really cool choices on the album.
So I've got a
good sense of pacing.
I got to listen to a little more of it. But from what I've heard so far, it is right up my alley in terms of that weird ambient industrial dark electronic kind of stuff. So
well, okay, you had a bonus album, and then you didn't talk about an album I thought you were going to talk about.
Oh yeah, you have a bonus album too.
I should talk about it.
You totally should, because I loved that one. I didn't even realize we were
we were a little unclear on like who was talking about what this week, but I think we figured it out now, and we're all talking about all of it.
Yay! Isn't that great? Tell me about that awesome album that I accidentally left off my list.
That's fine. I will be talking about Sound of a Bite by X Yde. I would love to pull it up on Bandcamp really quick before I have to start talking about it.
That's okay. We're a little.
Cool. It's like experimental. You called it like post R&B.
I described this as post R&B, which is not something I've really heard before. This doesn't sound like anything I've really heard before. It is very like. It feels so cutting edge.
You're good. You don't have to fill the space anymore. I got it. So they're from Denmark.
Yay, of course.
That's all I was looking for.
Right. I'm like, these are like 16-year-olds from Denmark, and it's like, this is what his music will sound like in like 10 years.
Exactly, like cooler than and artsier than like we'll ever be. But post R&B, which is really interesting because they're sort of superimposing R&B over like really ominous, strange industrial production.
I do want to say too, this is like, the artist did not call it post R&B, so no. I don't know if they would even agree with this, but that is just the vibe that I got, because the vocalist's singing style is very like soulful.
I was gonna say
beautiful and
like when I say monotone, not like droning, but like the melodies kind of like R&B are, like it's storytelling where they're like all occurring within 4 notes, and it's beautiful,
and it's all like kind of romantic.
And so there's sort of sensual in that way, while it is strange, and that's what makes it post. Is I think it's infusion of R&B, which besides like hip hop, we don't see mixed with a lot of, I guess, underground styles of
I would agree.
Like this.
Also undertapped. Also very ripe for more like creative ideas.
And so it's really cool, just the mix between like industrial stuff, which is like Kiki in my mind, versus R&B singing, which is Booba in my mind.
I understand. Yeah. Okay, I was like Scissor Sisters. No, like, let's have a Kiki. What are you talking about? Okay.
No, I'm talking about Boba and Kiki and how delicious they taste together.
Okay, I got you. And so we're on the same page. Yeah, this is Boba and Kiki.
So that's Sound of a Bite, and this is one I really am interested in like doing a deep dive on this week and kind of figuring out. It's just so interesting and cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, we talked about a record number of albums this episode of Up Next, so I hope you enjoyed that. Kaylin, what is your thing you're very excited about this week? It's already Monday, but what are you very excited about this week? You already went to Costco as well, so best part of your week is out of the way.
What am I excited about? What are we doing this week? Oh, yeah, our friends are having like a show on Thursday or something. Yeah, we'll go to that. I think we might try to drag Michael to a RuPaul's Drag Race watch party.
Oh yeah, we might might do that on Friday.
We might do that on Friday because he's taken us to enough sports bars to watch football games. I feel like I've earned one Drag Race watch party night.
He's never been to one, and they're fun. It's a
so
good
much
time.
fun.
People have a lot of fun. People yelling at the TV.
Yeah. You know, if you're a sports fan and you've never been to a gay bar to watch a RuPaul's Drag Race watch party,
you'll find a lot of overlap.
You might be surprised by how fun it can be. There's just like at your sports bar, there's people yelling at the TV.
Yeah. Saying who should have done what.
Who should have done what. There's a lot of armchair
flop
drag racing.
But instead of running around and like giving each other concussions, it's like dance. It's like talent. So,
the football players are talented. They're very talented.
They work very hard. They're very talented. They're much stronger and faster than I am. And they make much more money than me doing it. So,
yeah.
But there is something to be said about a reality television show that is talent based and not strictly personality based, like the Housewives or whatever. I'm not talking about football anymore.
Right. Well, Drag Race is also quite personality based.
No, it is. I'm not saying it isn't.
But yeah, I like. Yeah, I do like where there's like you have to. Tell me what it is that you do well.
Right. You have to contribute. You have to have somewhat of an artistic vision, and like these are artists and everything. Cool. So that's also a super fun aspect. Is you're also like picking apart the looks at the bar with everyone. But
that's a part of the fun. I don't know if Michael will find that part fun. Picking apart the looks, where it's like, why is she wearing that wig with that dress? Should we start a Drag Race podcast?
Okay, here's my personal opinion on that as someone who doesn't do drag.
No. I agree. All right, thanks. There you go. Thanks everyone for listening to Up Next and putting up with us this week. Maybe next week will be a little more.
We had fun. We were on one this week. Come on.
We were on one. Yeah, we had fun. I had fun. No segment. Well, we had a segment too. We had our bonus album segment. That's great.
Yeah. If you like what we do and want more of it, you can find us on Patreon. We also sell tapes at our website, and we are on Instagram and stuff at Outside Noise 444, and we'd love to see you there.
Bye. Oh, a little kiss.
Yeah, a little kiss.
You sent your heart out to the audience.
Got to.